the time.
Laura, thanks for having me on again.
So tell me about this case involving the Seattle area activists Emily Johnson and Annette Klapstein.
Yeah, so these are two Seattle area women who went to Minnesota in 2016, and they're part of a movement that they call themselves the valve turners. They go to pipelines. At every major pipeline, there are critical junctures that are fenced off where there is a valve for safety purposes. They go, cross private property, they cut the chains to get access to the valve. They cut the chains on the valve, and they turn them off. And clearly this is a huge safety risk because those valves have to be turned off with care because it will create a pressure situation that will explode. And so there's violation of private property, there's destruction of property, and there's also this potential risk of huge danger, life-threatening danger. But they do it, as you said, because this is to save the planet. And so therefore their actions, they think, are justified.
Let me ask you two clarifications on that, too. Not that what you said is incorrect, but this has the potential to actually create an environmental disaster where if they turn off the valves too quickly, you could break a pipe somewhere else, either near the valve or far from the valve, and that could actually spill oil and create the very kind of environmental damage that these folks say they want to avoid, right?
Exactly. And what's fascinating about this as a sense of activism is that pipelines are green. We are always going to transport oil and gas in this nation, and we can do it several different ways. Most of them require a lot bigger of a carbon footprint. That's either trains or that is through truckers and tankers. Pipelines are the greenest form to transport fuel, and so the people who claim they're doing this because they want to protect the environment are actually sabotaging what is the greenest form of energy transportation. And you're right, it's a huge potential risk because if these pipelines are turned off incorrectly, they will have a pressure situation and they will explode. One of the women said she knew that was potential, but she still thought it was worth the risk.
And even if they don't cause environmental damage or oil spills, this can be tremendously expensive because turning off a valve is not like turning off the faucet to your neighborhood or your house's outside hose bib, and it's not like flipping off a light switch where you can just flip it back on. It's going to cost money to be able to fix this problem, and that money, those costs, are all going to get passed along to consumers.
Exactly. And I'm glad you called them what they are, which is eco-terrorists. A lot of these groups have been put on the domestic terrorist watch list. Some of them, you brought back memories of the late 80s and 90s. Earth First and ALF, the Earth Liberation Front and Animal Liberation Front, were put on the watch list as domestic terrorists. A little story that got no attention just 2 months ago in August. A guy named Joseph Dibee, D-I-B-E-E, he was apprehended by Cuban authorities for his eco-terrorism in 1997. He had been hiding out in Cuba since 2005, was apprehended, and was returned to the American authorities to stand trial for the damage he did in 5 different states. He's a domestic terrorist, and I'm surprised Cuba actually did something noble, the Cuban government, and turned him back over to the Americans for prosecution.